my phone. You started already?
Yeah, I hit start.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Spencer,
I'm Rosie.
and Eric
Fine.
is in the kitchen, where he should be.
Man,
Don't beat me up.
do that with ease too.
He should be there. And we're the Itch Network podcast. We're on number
109.
It's a lot. It's a big number.
Yeah, 109 Dalmatians. No, it's 101.
It's 101.
Wonder why.
Yeah.
You know, 8 over. That's, it's not bad if you round down.
This episode brought to you by Rockstar Energy Destiny 2 Edition. Collect all three to collect loot, score, cans, chance, collectible edition, games, PS4 Pro system, unlock in-game gear.
And on that note, Eric, what have you been playing this week?
You know what I've been playing, Rosie.
Yeah, but the people don't.
No,
And JD, for those
let me tell you
for the,
what I've been
Right?
playing.
Yeah.
oh, he's taking the place of JD.
Doing my best.
Dude, his best.
Okay.
Rest in peace.
He's in California.
Yeah, he's not dead.
He's in California, not Florida.
Oh.
Hey.
We're on the verge of a huge hurricane.
Yeah.
As a time capsule. It's
Prayers
gonna
for Florida.
It's gonna hit tomorrow
Yeah.
at like 5 to 7.
So just for us here in Arizona, I was told that the eye of the storm is as big as Maricopa County,
Oh my god.
and the actual full width of the tornado is as big as the state of Arizona.
This is insane.
Yeah.
That's
It's going like straight through Florida.
Yep. You know what? I've been going straight through some Destiny 2.
Oh!
okay. Okay.
I've been playing that, having a lot of fun with it. I've been doing something that we talked about in our last podcast about how the internet ruined video games, and my stance on that was basically that people are too quick to look up tutorials, how-tos, how to beat the game, and all that kind of stuff. And I will tell you this, I've gotten a handful of people have listened to the podcast, reached out to me, and said, you know what, I'm going to try that for Destiny 2. I'm going to stop looking up stuff now. I'm just going to experience the game. I have about 6 to 8 people, somewhere around there. 2 of them, I'm not too positive how much they're not looking up. One of the guys at work, he says he's doing it. I'm looking forward to actually hearing some more stories from him about his experiences and stuff.
Yeah, so the game's actually been a lot interesting. I've been playing Destiny 2 too. So the game's been actually a lot more interesting when I haven't been looking up shit and actually just explored the world.
Mm-hmm.
So finding like little lore pieces like that investigating thing, I've been doing a lot more of that.
Yeah, I have to. I really wish that they had. So basically, there's items in the game. If you play Destiny 1, there's items or objects in the game that are supposed to take place of the Grimoire card ghosts.
Alright.
So in Destiny 1, you would find a ghost, and it would have a Grimoire card that you could then go online and read about it. In this, they actually have a voice-acted script that they tell you a little bit of information, and the more and more pieces of it you find, the more of the story it fills in for you. Or for me, it also creates more interest and questions about certain things. Other games that I've been playing this week, we'll get into that real quick, because we still gotta go down the line.
Yeah.
I've been playing Pierre Solar and the Great Architects. That is a 90s homage game that came out, I believe, in the early 2000s on Sega Genesis. And they also it was a Kickstarter or something like that they released on Sega Genesis, I think Super Nintendo, Dreamcast. I think Sega Saturn was on that list. Sega CD was on the list.
Wait, it remastered on all those games?
I think that was the original release. It wasn't like remastered, but they just released it on those. So you could actually purchase the game and get the actual cartridge or CD for those systems. They then had a new gen release for it where they brought it to the PS4, to the... I keep looking up here for the camera, but the camera's over here.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
So they re-released it HD. They hit their Kickstarter mark, so they released an HD version. So the originals were in 16-bit, and now they're in like HD, like Game Boy Advance colors and schemes and stuff like that. And it looks so much better. They even redid the soundtrack and everything. And that actually, I could go back and forth and not really lose anything. If I listen to the older soundtrack, it sounds just as good as the newer one. The music and the stuff in the game is definitely really, really good. They did a great job with sound design and stuff. I'll be probably playing that again tomorrow, trying to power up or just play through some story and stuff. I'm actually full voice acting that entire cast, and I had so much fun. It was a spur of the moment thing. 3-hour stream of me voice acting all of the characters, giving them all fun voices and stuff, and making them trying to sound a little different, unless they were like characters I know weren't going to be in there for a while. Like they were just like a town guard, like guard 1, guard 2. I kind of made them almost sound the same, just generic voices. But everyone else was having a lot of fun with. I also played and finished Sonic Mania for the Nintendo Switch. That review is coming this week as well.
How fast you beat it?
In about 4 sit-downs, maybe 3. Damn. 3 sit-downs. First sit-down was probably 2 hours. Second sit-down was like 45 minutes. And then third one I played for probably 2 hours, maybe 3.
Man, I heard this one's actually really, really good.
I'll wait for the review.
Yeah, I can't wait. All right.
Then I played Destiny 2 this week and played some Star Wars The Old Republic. I did some research on that for when we decide to do our Sunday Fun Day again with all 4 of us. We miss JD.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
But, Rosie, what have you been playing this week?
Played a lot. Too much Destiny 2 already.
Too much?
Yeah.
You took the day off on release to play.
Yeah. So I put in about already easily 30 to 40 hours.
Really? You put a work week into that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it.
Putting a work week into it?
Well, yeah, that much time into it. Like, I literally stayed up on release till 5 a.m. in the morning.
Dude, I crashed out at like 11.
I know.
That was 7 hours.
I know.
You played 7. Oh my god.
And not only
my god.
Not only that, I woke up. Like I went to sleep at 5 and woke up at 8 and just kept playing. And I was just like, it reminded me of the high school days in which I used to do like crazy stuff like that. But when you're an old man like me, I just started getting sick. like really badly sick. But besides that, Destiny 2, yeah. I've been playing the Divinity Original Sin 2, still early access, and it's still crashing like crazy. Just bugs and such. So hopefully they fix that. And honestly, that's about it for my week. Destiny 2 and Divinity Original Sin 2. Can't wait for the full release to finally come out. Mr. Spencer. The man. The myth.
Yep.
The legend.
The guy.
That guy.
Yeah.
What you been playing on?
JD!
Playing Mario plus Rabbids. Hoping to beat that tomorrow. Hopefully, maybe even on stream. I don't know exactly how far I am. I mean, I'm in the last world, but maybe there's a bonus one that unlocks, after, and they go, oh, the Rabbids are here. I don't know.
Wait, aren't they always there?
Yeah.
What? I gotta watch a little bit of that stream because man, I want to know what the heck the whole crossover is between them. Because are some of them good and some of them bad? Are like majority of them bad?
Yeah, some of the Rabbids get morphed as they come over.
Oh,
it's a whole thing.
Oh,
it's a whole thing.
So like, was it like Despicable Me 2 with the minions?
Yeah, they're basically minions, but they're oddly ugly, but like in a cute way. I don't know.
Yeah, they kind of remind me of a
it's
Homer.
Like a dog
Spencer.
They look like Homer Simpson, but a rabbit.
Yeah,
because they got that like
they got really weird like facial animations or whatever. It's very strange.
But besides that, what else you been playing, buddy?
League of Legends as always. That's pretty much it.
Got the streak going? Got a streak going?
No, a losing streak of 2.
Damn.
I don't think a streak starts till 3.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know no real streaks to talk about, but that was very frustrating. People are bad.
Yeah, it happens, man. You get some good teammates, you get some bad teammates.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good games and bad games. So, what's up? What are we gonna talk about, buddy?
So, obviously, Destiny 2 release. That game came out this week, and it had like a weird launch. It launched at 9 p.m. for digital releases. It launched at 9 p.m. on Tuesday, which is not normal. Usually, it's like early in the morning or midnight on. It's like 12:01 a.m.
No, they kind of been on this trend recently on 9 p.m. because it's 9.
Don't they usually do it at 9 p.m. on Monday though?
Yeah,
that's when The Witcher 3.
So Monday, but they released it on Wednesday. So
Wednesday's a weird release day.
Yeah.
Usually it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but they released it Tuesday at 9 p.m. I don't know why either. I'll have to look into it, but
So can I continue saying it's weird?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Sorry, it is weird. But I thought you were talking about just the time of being at 9 p.m. because 9 p.m. it's always 9 p.m. because Eastern
time is midnight.
So
Yeah,
I guess
it makes sense.
Fair.
Now the other odd part to it was the fact that if you ordered a physical copy, you got to play that morning at like 10 a.m. or whenever the store opened that delivered the package to you.
Really?
Yeah, if you had a physical copy, you got to play earlier than everyone else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's why some of the YouTube people, I'm like, they beat the game. Like, what?
Yeah, it was like an hour into us playing, and we were
Right.
hearing about people beating the game. It's like, Jesus,
Wait, how
people.
fast can you beat the game?
You can beat pretty fast.
I'd probably say 6 hours.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Like,
That's all right.
I think the only thing that would like, shit.
I heard it was really easy.
What, the story?
Yeah,
The-
like on the first mode, that the first time you go through it, it's like
You level up insanely quick. And there is actually something I do want to talk about in addition to our topic of the day that attaches to Destiny 2. I will use that to lead into Destiny 2 or into the topic today.
Okay.
So that came out this week. We're still waiting on more news about the lawsuits hitting Nintendo to see if there's any news about any kind of delays. And
obviously it's kind of a joke, but the South Park thing is pretty funny.
oh yeah,
Where
I'm actually. I'll say this. I'm a little offended.
Why?
if anyone's gonna make a thing like that and get away
Yeah.
with it, it's definitely South Park.
Yeah, I would
Matt
say
Stone and
usually.
Trey Parker, they kind of have a pass.
So, explain to the folks that don't know what you guys are talking about.
So when you go, if you pick the gender, or not the gender, well, kind of, but
Skin color.
if you pick the skin color of your character in South Park, it actually dictates some of the difficulty in the game. And if you pick a black person, then the game is on hard mode, essentially.
Yeah. Finally,
Apparently,
Yeah,
it changes
art,
the amount of like money you get,
right. Art
but not the combat, I guess.
Oh, okay, great. Art finally imitates reality.
Yeah, and they also have slots for bisexuals and stuff, which is ironic. It might be one of the first games that lets you do that, and it's doing it as a joke. But it might be one of the first games to actually do it.
They also have the gender as well.
Yeah, this is talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah, but the gender, like once you pick other, you have cisgender and transgender.
Yeah.
And apparently as soon as you pick that, as soon as you leave the school, these rednecks come outside and start harassing you about it.
You sissy!
That's funny.
Oh man.
Hopefully, it doesn't raise a bunch of flags from people, and
It will.
They understand that it's a joke and that South Park only does social commentary now. So
Yeah.
they should understand that, but maybe they won't get it. I
No,
don't know.
they won't because like, did you guys see the episode? They actually did a like transgender.
I have
Oh,
not seen that
see?
episode
No.
And he's like, you're like the second biggest South Park fan, right?
of
Like,
our group.
Yeah. Because anytime I make a South Park reference, you would know it.
Yeah, I've seen almost all of them.
Yeah. So they did a whole big episode on like calling people sissies. You're a fucking sissy. Because for cisgender. So I mean, everything they're gonna do is a joke. You just need to know about it from the episodes.
I will say that like being white, male, as I saw that, I looked at it and I was like, oh man, that's messed up. And then I think JD posted it,
Right.
and Spencer's like, well, how does that make you guys feel? And JD's like, well, I fly under the radar. I'm pretty safe here. And then Rosie, I don't know what you were trying to say because you kind of swiped all over the place on your text.
I was just saying, well, now you know how I feel. Like, life is just hard difficulty.
Gotcha. Now, coming from like white male, I looked at that and I was like, thinking out of context, I was like, is my life easy? No, life is hard. No one makes it out alive. Like the kind of the thought process I went through, and I was like, no, but in context of what they're talking about, completely understand why they would put that as the difficulty rating system.
Yeah, I was just making a joke too.
Well, yeah. But yeah, that was like the immediate thought I had on it. And while I'm not gonna go any further because the thought didn't go any further. But it was just funny that was my initial reaction of like, my life's not easy. And then I was like, well, in context, easier, probably.
Probably just a hair.
Dude, I shaved my head, completionist. I completely shaved my head skin month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
couple-
about 3 weeks ago, I would say.
Yeah, I completely shaved my head about 3-4 weeks ago. This is just growing back now. So, anything else in video game news that popped up that stood out to you guys this week?
No, nothing too crazy. Like I said, we're just waiting on the Nintendo news, really, and that's the only thing that really. The Nintendo lawsuits. That's the only thing that really.
You know
going on, unless you have
what
some-
video game release that I was sad happened the same week as Destiny 2? Knack 2.
Oh,
right.
that's right.
That's co-op on it.
It's a co-op one. I was a little sad that released the same week as Destiny.
Dang,
I really want to play it. It's $40. It's not $60.
that's cool.
I was really tempted, but I was like, I still have to beat Pierre Solar. I still have to beat Destiny 2. And then there's still 4 other games that I have on my list of like have to beat. Plus, I want to play Shining Force 2 again. Like, I actually do want to do a whole stream of that. I don't think I'll voice act all 30-something characters in that one. That one would be a little difficult because half of them are female, and I don't do female voices very well. And Pierre Solar, the female voice I have, sounds like this.
Oh, so it's not even real.
Yeah, not even close.
I mean, girls can sound like whatever they want.
I mean, that's true, yeah.
Let's not.
I just don't sound like a stereotypical.
Yeah.
You always go to that.
I'm not sexist, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't sound like what media depicts as a woman's voice.
Yeah, what the media would have you know.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about. Like, how does the media depict?
Well, if you were going to do a girl's voice, what would you do?
I do the Valley Girl all the time. Like, oh, what's going on?
But not all girls are Valley girls. I don't know where you get
That's
that
what I'm saying. That's a type of girl. That's what I'm saying. Valley Girl.
I'm just trying to attack you.
I know you are. You're failing.
Oh.
You'll hurt me.
South Park games to offend, but we all have to remember that offense is never given; it's always taken. That's very true. Wise words. So, a smaller topic we had that we'll do before we get into the big topic is the idea of crossovers. We thought last week we were kind of talking, and I made a little remark about Pokemon.
Yeah, it was actually pretty brilliant.
And because my one of my big genres right now and for like forever now has been MOBAs. And I was wondering, I thought it was interesting how Nintendo could probably make a lot of money, especially on like the Switch or something, if they made a MOBA out of Pokemon. They turned it into like an arcadey, like team-based RPG combat game. And I was thinking like, oh my god, and then I started just developing it in my head. Like, because the Pokemon have 4 moves, and in MOBAs they have 4 moves.
Right.
You could have a Charmander with Growl, Scratch, learning
Ember.
those. Ember, and like its ultimate could be, maybe its ultimate could be Ember or something.
Yeah.
And then it evolves
Flamethrower.
into the Charmeleon.
Doesn't Charmander learn Flamethrower before evolving?
No.
He learns it as Charmeleon?
No, we can't.
Well, if you don't evolve him, but he evolves at level 16 into Charmeleon. I don't even know. Does Charmeleon? I think Charmeleon might learn Flamethrower.
So
I think
here's
it does.
the thing.
Completionist, we do have girl audiences. We have the statistics.
So here's the thing about that is that each Pokemon does learn a certain moveset. They can
They learn it faster.
Yeah, they learn it faster if you don't have them evolve to it. So there's a lot of strategies that some people do. And this is just a little small nerd.
But their stats aren't as high.
No, that's it. Yeah, you're right. Their stats aren't as high, so you just learn it faster, and then you evolve them, and then they have it like Charmeleon can have it at like 22, and then you evolve them, and then instead of learning it like at 27 or so, you already have it. You already have a good moveset.
Mhm.
So that's one of the strategies some people do.
Yeah, so my idea would be that, you incorporate evolution. I'm not entirely sure how, but you do that through the game. Some characters might not evolve. That's fine.
Mr. Mime!
No, so here's the thing. Yeah, so here's the thing.
He will not be in the game, Mr. Mime.
Why not?
I was thinking about that.
It's
too.
goofy.
I was thinking about that. So what if a Pokemon that evolves like one time, right?
Mhm.
If they evolve one time, they hit like a certain base strength with their skills, but they can't go any higher. But with the 3 evolution Pokemon, you just have them as you're killing, you get killed, you level up, and as you level up, you evolve from that, and your base power, like for your skills, get more and more increase more and more. And then at like Final Evolution, that's like 18. That's when you just go nuts. Maybe not do items.
Nah, well,
That's the thing.
if it's
How you do
Nintendo
items?
property, yeah, maybe not. Maybe go more the
Casual.
the
route.
Heroes of the
Here-
Storm.
Right.
That's Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah,
Here's the Storm.
Go with that approach where it's a little simplified
But here's the thing.
for kiddos.
But as you evolve, you can change up the skills they use. So as they evolve, you learn moves.
So you could trade out Growl for
Scratch, slash.
what's the other one? Leer?
Yeah.
Screech.
Leer.
Screech? Leer? Yeah,
Leer. It's
whichever.
Leer.
No, Growl reduces their attack. Leer reduces their defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That's what
You
I thought
switch it
just
out.
I thought you meant the more updated
Powerful.
version of more powerful version.
No, I meant like you could change up the strategy of like, oh, I don't want him to be, I don't want to damage, like I want to change out Scratch or Ember for Leer so I can have Growl and Leer so I can be a debuffing player.
Right.
You could try that, but that gets balancing would be a challenge.
Well, what if they're all skill shots, or or
Well, it
like-
doesn't matter. It'd still be a challenge.
Well, you would know more than anybody, so
Yeah.
I'll take your word.
Balancing is important no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what, if it's.
But
all that
if
stuff.
everybody had almost a free palette, or at least a large branching palette of moves, it would create a balancing.
Right.
Like, what if every single character had 2 stuns or something? Like, you just got a team
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah.
that you
Well,
managed to-
there should definitely be limitations. If we want to talk about actually trying to
Yeah,
legitimize
but
this,
it's a unique idea.
there would need to be roles that they would go in there as like, okay, this is you have 4 classes. You have your tank support, you have your DPS, and then you have your I don't know whatever other class, stealthy jungler.
Yeah.
And then there'd be once you picked one, you would have move sets to choose from.
Mhm.
Like every time you leveled, you could switch out an ability for another.
fun.
Anyways,
Felicia's asked, did you catch all the Pokemon in Pokemon Go yet?
nope. Going on 2 weeks at this point, and I am still waiting for a Kingdra. So I need to catch 5 more Horsey, which as of like a week ago, I needed like 7 Horsies. So I've only caught 2 in the last 2 weeks. I've caught 4 in the last 2 weeks.
And can I guess the next one? Can I guess your next one?
Oh yeah, go for it. What's the last besides that?
Unknown.
Unknown. I need to catch a goddamn unknown. I apparently saw one. I don't know when I saw it, but I saw one.
I saw it.
But because it's on my scene list now, maybe it was in a gym or something that I visited or something. But I don't know where I saw it, but it's still there. I still actually have to catch the new raid that just came out. It's available till the 31st, so I haven't really felt the need to rush off to. I think it's Raikou.
Raikou, Saquon, Sasino,
Sasuno or something. Something like that.
Yeah.
But those ones, the only one that's available in America this month is Raikou.
Oh.
Next month it'll be Setsuna or something like that, and then the other one, the third legendary dog, will be available the following month. So come November, I'm hoping that I'll catch the 3 legendaries plus Kingdra and Unknown. So those 5 basically are on the table right now for me in the next couple months. And they've also predicted that people are predicting that Gen 3 will be out in October, November. So I'll have a ton to catch at that point. But yeah, the last week or so, I've actually sat down and played some console games for the first time in a while.
Yeah.
But going back to the topic on hand, the short topic of crossovers, game switching genres, basically.
Yeah.
So yours was Pokemon and MOBAs.
Yeah.
Need to fuse. Rosie?
Street Fighter, and make it a beat 'em up.
Kind of like
Like-
Tekken.
No.
Oh, like Tekken's Tekken
With Nina. They had Nina doing it.
Well, they had the one where you got to actually do that as like a side game.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yes. Tekken 3. Yeah, Tekken 3. They had a beat 'em up style
Yeah,
Wasn't
and
there
it was
an official
fun. I
Tekken
played the
game
crap
that
out of
was
that.
a beat 'em up.
Kinda.
It was Nina, right?
No, it was Lars.
Oh, okay.
It could have been. I don't know too much about the Tekken games. I knew Tekken 3 had it in. And it was like a Lars adventure, and it was just like you just exactly how it sounds. You go around beating up a whole bunch of enemies. There's a boss at the end. It's like and it's always a Tekken character and such. And I think it actually flowed into an actual story.
Tekken 6 also has Tekken beat 'em up.
Oh, for real?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool. But I would like to see the Street Fighter characters in that. If they could, I would say do character action with it, because it like they got the moves, and it would just be like a Streets of Rage-esque game. And why not? They're always beating up people, and they're always telling
In
you
the streets?
stories. Yeah, always in the streets fighting, almost like a street fighter in a
Yeah,
way.
it's a bunch of Street Fighters out there.
But I just figured it would go hand in hand easily.
Yeah,
People
definitely
will
can
love
see
it.
that.
What about you, man?
That's actually a really hard thing for me because I'm very particular on my genres. I don't branch too hard out of my genres. I already have a Pokemon RPG. I already have a MMO shooter. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute. It's actually a really hard thing for me because it would be cool. I definitely agree, Spencer. The Pokemon is a MOBA. I would play it. I would buy it if it was $20. I know that. If I had to pay $20 to play that, I would. But as far as other options, some of the different concepts. So like, I would love to see Legends of Dragoon to come back, and probably be more of an action RPG.
Yeah, it was kind of seemed like it wanted to be that
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah. I would love to see that. Like, I would love to see Legends of Dragoon come back as that. Any kind of Legends of Dragoon coming back. I'd play a card game for it. I don't care. Dragon Ball Z is like a legit fighter, which is coming out in October. So no more Xenoverse or Budokai. Well,
I would
more so
enjoy.
Budokai.
I know they made a couple, but none of them stuck out to me as like a good RPG. Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball.
Yeah, like I've seen a couple of them here and there. The
So-
last one I tried was a train wreck.
Legacy of Goku or Boost Fury?
Fusions.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay. One of these Why We Loves, I will do Legacy of Goku 2.
Okay.
Because I played the crap out of that in high school. I loved that game.
What kind of RPG was it?
It's a Secret of Mana.
Oh, okay.
It's much like that. Yeah, it's basically just like that. Now that I know what Secret of Mana is.
There was that Death by Degrees game featuring Nina Williams, but I heard it wasn't very good. I knew that. Death
Okay.
by Degrees.
Cool.
Hmm.
Hey, let me get your opinion on it. Since we're talking about games kind of crossing different genres, that Final Fantasy VII game that is being remade into the Final Fantasy 15 engine, essentially, right?
I don't know if it's the same engine, but
We don't know about the comp.
action RPG.
Yeah, it's action RPG.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that? Because that kind of stems a lot from what we're talking about now, instead of it being turn based.
I'm okay with it. I think it's an evolution of the modern day gamer. It expands to a bigger audience than the traditional RPGs. There's some nostalgia there in that combat system, but overall, people don't talk about. They talk about the ATB, active time battle system or something.
Yeah.
Whatever, ABS. They talk about that, but that's really what an action RPG is. It's active battle system. It is.
I disagree.
Just without a menu.
Yeah, I'm not.
So don't you move around?
Yeah.
Yeah, you move around.
Yeah.
So that would be the difference. Is you also have control of your character. Like
Don't
it's.
you jump?
I don't
Yeah,
think you can jump.
But you can typically avoid.
You can run
roll.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I see what you're getting at, but my point being is that there's an evolution of Final
Yeah,
Fantasy VII's battle system
Right.
that I think it's necessary to engage modern gamers, younger gamers. I don't think that a lot of them have the patience to sit down Gaming has become way too flashy and fast paced for a turn-based game to catch people's eyes. Even when I was playing through and doing Pierre Solar the other day, doing turn-based combat, I was finding myself a little bored. I almost fell asleep one of the nights, like in between battles, which I did as a kid as well. Like when I played them, I'd fall asleep in between turns if it was too late in the evening or something. But I think games evolving their combat system and adapting to the newer versions or newer adaptations of combat. The systems have since evolved to the point where they allow a lot of new features and stuff to be included in them, to where the turn-based thing before was the fact that they couldn't afford or have the space on a cartridge or CD to put in all the data necessary for a moving target, for all these different spell animations and all this stuff. It was partially, whether it was art design or intent, there's also that aspect of limitation, of system limitation.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy for it if people are happy for it. I don't have interest in it myself.
Yeah.
Episodic content on an action game is strange.
That is different than the gameplay.
Don't know how I feel about that, but like as far as the gameplay goes, doesn't really appeal to me that much. But if people are happy for it, it doesn't like hurt it. Yeah. Like it's not like, to me, you can't really ruin a series once it's done. Star Wars kind of, because now they have to tie back into it with the newer ones, which does kind of ruin it. But like theoretically, you can't say Final Fantasy VII happened and then let's say the remake is bad. I have no idea. It looks good, looks nice and everything. But let's say it's bad. You'd still say, well, Final Fantasy VII is there, so
yeah, it doesn't like whatever they do now doesn't erase what they did in the past.
So, okay. So with that being what it is, if it gets people interested and it gets people happy and it gets them to buy things that at least are more in, if they're buying something that isn't Madden and isn't Call of Duty, I'm excited. And Call of Duty is not a shot against that, but if it gets people out of a bubble, yeah, and I think this game could do that.
The shots to Madden, right?
Oh, I don't give a fuck about Madden.
Come on.
Boom. But yeah, if it gets people excited, it's great. It doesn't have to be for me to know that.
So Completionist says Capcom and SNK had a great game for the DS called Capcom vs. SNK Card Battle DS.
That's awesome.
Spencer, you play handhelds. Were you aware of this?
No, I can. With utmost certainty, I can tell you if I saw that game on a shelf, I would not go.
You wouldn't even read the title.
Not to say it's bad, but that kind of stuff. SNK holds no love in my heart.
Yeah.
Capcom holds. I'm a Super Nintendo Capcom guy. Anything after, I'm a little bit sketchy on. Like, I mean, obviously Resident Evil's great. There's good stuff, but it's not really.
What's the biggest thing?
SNK is Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah.
You're so proud of yourself for that.
I actually don't know what SNK means.
It's like arcadey stuff back in the day.
Beat 'em ups?
Yeah,
like Golden Axe and
Fighters.
Yeah, so SNK has
no, not Golden Axe. What's up?
Not Golden Axe. King of Fighters. SNK.
King of Fighters.
It was bigger in Japan.
Okay.
But these things are really expensive in the States, so you don't see a whole lot from them. But in Japan, it's a lot more of a big deal.
So
yeah, King of Fighters, like they had.
That's the biggest one right now.
Was Neo Geo SNK?
Yes.
So Neo Geo is like basically the big
Metal Gear Solid, or not Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Slug.
Thank you.
Like those kinds of games that you'd see at like an arcade.
Contra?
No.
I'm not getting the difference.
No, it's not like it was just
SNK was really like they're really high quality production,
high good sprites.
Like the sprites are really nice looking, but the games are all really arcadey. Like it's really focused on arcade.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get a lot of RPGs out of it.
Was Windjammers?
Windjammers was, yeah.
Windjammers was SNK.
No idea.
You don't know Windjammers?
That's the one we played here for like man. It was like a tennis game.
Yeah, with the frisbee.
With the frisbee, and they're like shooting it really fast.
And we're using them. Like,
it's really fun, but
was that the weekend I had the migraine?
Oh, could have been.
Yeah, never mind.
Completionist says, I'll reserve judgment for the Final Fantasy VII Remake when I actually play it. I have my taste in games, but I'll never say a game sucks if I haven't played it before. You're bigger than me. I will.
What's up?
I'll tell you Madden sucks every year.
What's up, Gauging Gadgets?
You know what?
That's a cool name, by
That's
the way.
weird. That most time, me and you are not on the same page on that. But yeah, there's something about Madden. I always say
It's horrible. Like the game could be all right, and you could say like, I'll take one game and it's fine. It is what it is. But when I see a game that looks as bad as it does, like it's very ugly.
Well, it's not.
And they have literally nothing to do every year but make it look pretty.
Well, that's not even the thing with me. Is like making it look pretty. It's the fact that it's like, what did you do new? You can look in the coach.
And you could look from the coach's perspective, and you can. I don't know if that's the thing.
Yeah.
But we changed the cone where you're throwing. The cone's different. I remember that being like a thing like in like a decade ago. They're like, we added this cone now.
Right. And
it's like, thanks. Because I bought Madden in 2005.
Yeah,
because a friend of mine liked playing it, and I was like, I'll play it with you.
Over
it's
a
fun.
decade ago.
Yeah, and I was like, it's fun. Like it's not a horrible game, but when your only goal is to update the jerseys and make it look pretty,
right,
and your game looks as ugly as it does.
I actually will say this. I just watched Madden 2018 is the one that's out right now. I walked in, my dad was playing the game, and I looked at it, and I'm like, is it because my dad every other year will buy Madden.
Smarter,
yeah. He'll buy it every other year. And so this year, 2018's one, he picked that one up. And I walked in, I was like, oh, you're still playing 2016? I thought you were going to pick up 18. He goes, no, this is 18. And I was like, why does the graphics look like this then? Like, it honestly looked shitty.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a horrible
I couldn't believe, because every year previous to the PS4 generation, like going from PS2, or like PS1, PS2, PS3, you could see the improvement in graphics. Like every year you could see improvement in graphics.
Yeah.
The 2018 one came out and it looks just exactly the same as 2016. I do want to pull up a side-by-side of that and actually look at it, because I don't think they made any improvements graphically.
At this stage of the game, those players should look real. There's no excuse for it not to at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
like
they should look
other
like
games, the characters look real.
They should at least look like Last of Us.
Yeah,
like minimum.
Right, as your minimum. But they look. I mean, all you have to do. You're not going to update anything. Like the gameplay barely gets changed. It's basically just a simulator at this point.
The animation.
Pick the play and they do it for you. You could juke a little bit, but who cares? Just make the game look good. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
They don't.
No, they put all their money into advertising.
Yeah, got Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Oh, what was I going to say about that? It'd be hilarious to me if the 2005 version of the games, it looks the same.
Yeah.
2018.
They pulled a real trick on everybody. It's still the NES game. Still Tecmo Bowl. I would play Tecmo Bowl over Madden any day of the week.
I would say that sounds.
Have you seen the skit
right now?
Have you seen the skit of the father and son playing Tecmo Bowl together? No. And then that kid in that, when they were playing Tecmo Bowl, he's like, I remember playing Tecmo Bowl with my dad. I'm going to get a football game and play with my son. And then he goes and buys Madden and comes home, and his kid's sitting on the couch, and they pops it in, and he's like, oh, we got to wait for an update? And so the kid gets on his phone, and the dad's like, all right. How you doing today, son? Nah. And they turn on the game, and he was like, what jersey do I pick? The 1927 Bears Super Bowl if they went to the Super Bowl jerseys? Like, or then it's like the kid, like in the Tecmo Bowl, they're already like in a game and they're still trying to figure out how to select teams and home and away and stadium, and they're like, well, what do I click? Like career mode, or like how do I get to multiplayer? And it's like they're all confused, and the kid's sitting there like, God, you just gotta click on this and be like, oh, Dad, come on, Dad, come on, Dad, come on, stupid. And like the kid's just talking down to his dad, and then like the dad's sitting there all sad and depressed, and it goes back to when he was a kid, and him and his dad are like, wow, that was a really fun game at Tecmo Bowl. You want to go get some ice cream? And they're like, yeah. So they go get ice cream, and they come back, and I'm like, wow, that ice cream really hit the spot. Oh, we still got another hour before bedtime. You want to play another 4 games? And like the kid's like, yeah, let's play. And then at this point, they're like 30 minutes from going to bed. And he's like, well, I guess we'll start a game now. We won't be able to finish it, though.
Yeah.
Good old days.
Yeah, the good old days.
Sure have changed. haven't they?
They have.
Matt hasn't.
Except
And the
that.
internet was the cause of it all being on the downhill.
Oh. Okay,
As we're
so,
sitting on the internet.
So the eventual thing, the big topic for today, is stories.
Yep.
But you wanted to tie it in with something, didn't you?
Yeah. So Destiny 2 is where this is coming from for me. And I'm sure, Rosie, you can relate it to Destiny as well.
Right.
Destiny, for some reason, has a level system in the game. I know it's considered an MMO, but I feel that they don't need certain aspects to call themselves an MMO. And I originally would call Destiny 1 a MMO shooter.
Right.
Now I'm tempted to call Destiny 2 a shooting grinding game. Like a multiplayer shooting grinding game.
Like an MMO.
But I don't want to call it an MMO because MMO makes me think leveling, not gear score. And I don't see the purpose of levels in Destiny 2.
After playing WoW for this long,
Yeah,
you don't see the connection in gear score?
No, I see the connection in gear score to being that is part of an MMO. But I also relate leveling to MMO RPG. Like
Why?
MMO and leveling.
Okay.
But this game doesn't really need the level system. They put it in there for no reason. Like
Honestly,
everyone was 20, like max level within the first day.
Honestly, in the MMO, like World of Warcraft, I don't see the point of leveling. When like most people are like, once they get to the final bit of the game, they're just like, I want to raid. Like that's what everyone's doing right now, raiding and doing dungeons. They're not. The leveling in the game doesn't necessarily. It's just almost arbitrary, in my opinion. Just give me the skills and let's go.
Yeah, if anything, let me like when I complete story quests, then give me rewards. Don't give me XP because it does nothing. Like it's an arbitrary number at this point that you're giving me that I could not do the story.
Well, this
and level up and get the
This is a
skills.
whole-
this is a very interesting topic
I know.
of experience. But where does the story?
Yeah, I'm
So
because that we could go on for
right. So hold on.
Go on that.
So my point being is that Destiny 2 does not need a level system. What else don't they need to still be considered a successful game? And one of the things that was brought to my attention was story. Most of my friends that are playing Destiny 2 could give two shits about the story. They want to be max level and in PvP right now. They want to play Call of Duty.
Don't they require you to do like the story or something
to unlock to a certain point to unlock PvP and the strikes and raids. They require you to play the story mode to do it.
See, we fixed it. We fixed it. See?
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, it's like they're requiring you to play the story mode that we complained about so
you
much.
can't go online and say there's no story because you had to play the story to get to the multiplayer.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. But the fact is that
hilarious.
most people finish the story within 6 to 8 hours, which that was the same amount of story that Destiny 1 had. Granted, there's more detail and better acting and stuff involved in it.
Their detail is more. It flows better.
Yeah,
like
the quality is there.
Yeah. Not only that,
story.
like with Destiny 1, the story in that, I was like, that chick. What was her name?
The Stranger?
The Stranger. Yeah. The Stranger. I'm like, who are you? What are you doing? And
The Stranger.
it never gets explained. I don't know. Why would you call me to something? Like in the story, she calls you something like, hey, what's going on? I don't have time to explain what I don't have time to explain. What the fuck did you call me here for then?
There's a part in Destiny 2
Yeah.
with the speaker, and I was so happy he was getting his ass kicked.
Oh, well, that's not nice.
Yeah, I was so happy. Like it was like, because in Destiny 1, there's a point where he's like, I could. His name's the speaker. He speaks, and he says, I could tell you about the wars and blah 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 and blah blah blah, but I'm not going to.
Right. There's a lot of that. So that's it. So in that sense, Destiny 2 did a lot better by actually giving you a story that flowed.
Yeah, when they're actually in cutscenes telling you something, because that was the other issue with Destiny 1. Those scenes were in the cinematics, like the progression story. They would cut you off and be like, "We're not gonna like. We are in our comments. We're saying we're not giving you this info."
Right. So what are we talking about now? What story? So let's
So-
go back to the actual topic at hand.
So Destiny 2 is what I'm going to connect this to. But it was one of those things of like, does Destiny 2 need a story? Is because a lot of my friends are saying, we don't give a shit about the story. We just want to go shoot shit. We want to go do all this stuff. And I actually had a few friends pissed off that they are required to play the story to play Destiny because they just want a Call of Duty.
No.
That was their. They
That's
wanted
what we
a
said.
shooter. They don't want our raids. Like most of
You
my
don't
friends.
want to do raids?
Well, the few friends that talk to me about not wanting story, when they're like, Destiny 2 has too much story, just get it out of my way so I can just shoot stuff. All I ever see them doing is Crucible. And I talk to them about raiding, and they're like, I'll do it when it's easy. Like, they have no interest in doing it. They just want PvP. They want Crucible. They want Trials of Osiris. They want Iron Banner.
Well, that actually makes sense to me though, because you when it comes down to it, FPSs don't typically need a story.
Mhm.
Call of Duty. You know how many people don't play the story?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't play the story. I don't play the story, to be honest, until I do like a lot of PvP. Because what it comes down to is usually like some sort of blockbuster flick. So,
The funny thing is, Call of Duty has one of my most memorable stories in Call of Duty 4.
It does too. That's the thing about it. Once I played a lot of the PvP, I went to the story. I'm like, I got some time. I don't feel like shooting other people. I'll go to the story. Black Ops 1 is one of my favorite Call of Duty stories. One of my favorite stories just in general.
Call of Duty Zombies have a story.
Yeah, it does.
It makes it
So much better.
so much better.
And that's the question is would it have been successful without the story?
It would have been successful. People would have been
You would
annoyed.
have heard people bitching on the internet.
You're gonna hear people. You're hearing
Right.
people bitch on the internet about having too much story. You're gonna have now. Sorry.
People bitching about not enough and
Now-
too much.
And now too much. It's like no matter what, people aren't gonna be happy.
I think, in all honesty, people are vocal, but in the same aspect that Spencer makes fun of Destiny all the time and the community in Destiny, is that they complain so hard about it, but then they put in 10,000 hours into it. They put 1 million hours into it, and they just sit on the internet and complain about it. And Destiny 1 was a successful game. Can we say that?
Yeah, but
It was very successful.
yeah, it was very successful. But the problem with that is that it's the first in the series, and when you hear all the press conferences of what they promised, what they're going to give you, and you can get like not even a quarter of that. That's why people were so upset.
Mhm.
So, but once you find out, like, hey, this is
What did they say that was going to be in there that they didn't give?
There was cutscenes literally taken out of the game. There was literally
So?
well,
The initial beta that they did, the actual play zone was a lot bigger than what the actual released in the original game. That was one of the I think that was kind of like the driving force behind wait, what the hell happened?
right.
Because the game actually was different maps basically. At least the first world. And on top of that, the story didn't make sense. There's a lot of they had a writer switch where like they fired the writer midway through, and the writer took all of his work with him and wouldn't give them any of the information. He wasn't required to. So they had a new writer come in and try and create a new story based off of that. And they made it very like vocal of like, this wasn't the Destiny game we wanted to make. Bungie didn't say that, but the guy who was previously writing for him did an interview talking about how I had all these things planned and all this kind of stuff, and they butchered my story kind of thing. Like, it was this big deal. But Destiny 1 was still a very successful game, even though it had a chopped up, crummy story. Because after doing the Why We Love, we did Destiny 1 recently. I was like, oh yeah, they fixed the story when they introduced all the DLC. When you play through it again, it'll be great. But Rosie, you didn't have the DLC.
Yeah.
So we just played through Destiny 1 again, and I remembered all the frustrations I had with Destiny 1's story. But looking back on it, I don't think it was necessary for that game to be successful.
Oh.
I think you could have just put in Crucible, raids, and strikes and been perfectly fine. No leveling system, put the gear grinding in, but just throw me straight into dungeons, throw me straight into raids, throw me straight into the PvP, and that game I think still would have been just as successful because we have games like Call of Duty that literally throw you in match to match to match. That you never have any control over your character. You never get to hunt things down or find things out.
So, God, I wish JD was here today for this one. But there's a little game called Dark Souls, in which you don't, if you don't know about the story, you don't care about the story, you're just essentially killing monsters, killing bosses. The first time I played it, didn't even know there was a story. Just was just running around like progressing like it was like a Nintendo Castlevania game. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't know what the fuck that was. I was just killing it because it was in my way.
Yep.
And if you talk to me and was like, being nice to me, I'll be nice to you. But if you strike at me, I'm going to kill you. Just like it was back in the day.
More life lessons on the Itch Network.
Yeah. There you go. So when it comes to story, you don't necessarily need a story. What I think you need is, well, it depends on what you want. But I think you need is a good mechanic. You need to have something that really...
A driving force.
A driving force, thank you. And that's what we talk about all the time on like games like Destiny. It's like, what's the best part about Destiny? The way the guns feel.
Yeah, the shooting.
The shooting. So they do such a great job with that you don't necessarily need the story to keep playing. Especially since we know now that it's a dungeon crawling, essentially, loot grind.
So stories are not necessary to make a great game.
Right.
They definitely fill in voids and create an ambiance, and they can help a community survive through lore and predictions and not assumptions. What is that called? Theory crafting.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. Can a game succeed solely on its story?
Yeah, visual novels.
Walking Dead. Pretty much.
So the movie adaptation or the TV show adaptation into a game?
I mean, it's side story of it, but it would be. I mean, the Telltale's basically makes their career now out of just making a story game. There's very limited gameplay elements to it, and they're not necessarily that advanced.
Right.
Just like aim.
QTEs.
Yeah, just like well, they're fine. I'm not saying it's bad, but that game is entirely story, almost 100%. I was gonna say when the truth about art in general. So this mostly pertains to movies and movies, probably comic books, I guess, and video games especially. Is if you're gonna do something, you have to do it well. Right. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. So
100%.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Is you got to go at 100%. So with Destiny, if you're going to make a game and you want to have a story in it, you got to go 100% on the story. And to me, it's pretty clear that they didn't do that on Destiny 1.
Yeah.
I don't know what Destiny 2 is. I don't know. But Destiny 1, it's pretty clear that they didn't. If they wanted to go 100%, then something happened where they didn't do 100% because I think
it's two other people's 100% colliding, and then you picked up the remains and ran with it.
See what happens after. So unfortunately, that's what happens, and it becomes a negative on a game that didn't need a negative, that didn't need that. So you could have just gone without it, having the foresight of the disaster. The story's gonna be a disaster, and the game would have been, I think, a lot better off. And people could say, "Oh, I wish it had a story, but at least we didn't promise one," you know. And then you could say, "Oh, Destiny 2, kind of like Titanfall 2." You know, Titanfall had that where their story was like 20 seconds or something, or an hour, and it was online anyway. And the Titanfall 2 came out, and everyone's like, "Oh, cool! It actually has a story, and it's good." Yeah, I'm like, "Cool." Now it's a positive.
Yeah.
Whereas you take Destiny, it's like, okay, it's got to recover from this wreckage of having a shit story.
Well, Titanfall actually did have a bad story too, because it was during the multiplayer.
Yeah, but I think they told it. Didn't they kind of say like, this is basically a multiplayer shooter? Yeah, it was all multiplayer and everything, but it was like you still like technically a story mode, quote unquote. And so you would, but while you were shooting, you were trying to hear. It's like, wait, what are you saying? I'm fighting. So you literally couldn't hear any of it. So they got some backlash to that as well. Not as bad as Destiny. Not as bad as Destiny. But so if you're gonna do something, and it's the same with anything. So if it's the same with graphics, if you're gonna go in and your graphics look at Marvel versus Capcom or whatever, they came in there. They probably have great gameplay. I'm sure. I don't want to touch on the story because that sounds like dope, like dumb shit or something. But like, they came in with the bad graphics, and if you go in with that and you're not 100% on it, then you're gonna get shit for it.
Yeah, same with King of Fighters. But the two examples you put there, or my example, the one example you put there is that because before the graphics look better, so they're taking steps back. That's what people are really complaining about with that one. And with King of Fighters is another issue with graphics. But go ahead.
So my question to you guys is then, has there been a game, not a Telltale game, that had just crappy gameplay, but it was so good, the story was so good, you had to finish the game? Because I can think of one that I personally hated the gameplay, but I just...
Last of Us.
Yeah, that's mine. I hated the gameplay.
Really?
I cannot stand that kind of gameplay. Did not enjoy it whatsoever.
But
loved the story so much that it drove me to finish the game.
But would you say the gameplay is bad,
Yeah,
or
that's
would
what I
you
was
say
gonna
that
say.
you don't like the game?
Yeah.
I don't like it. So what I'm getting at is that the story was so important to me that it drove me to complete the game. It was my driving force. Not the shooting was fun, not the Grand Theft Auto free roam world, or that was the fun part, or the Minecraft completionist creating and building was the driving force. No, the story is what made me go, I want to know what happens next. I want to know. And that is what made me play through and beat the game.
You guys probably have more insight on this than me, because I wasn't a PlayStation kid until way after until a couple years into PS2. But with Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2, does that fit that category? Were people okay with the controls and stuff with that game?
What else?
Because I know they're terrible.
I'm sorry. When Resident Evil 1 came out, the controls didn't feel terrible.
And
Yeah,
plus-
that's what I mean.
And
Like,
here's the thing about it. What else did they have?
that's true.
Yeah.
Like maybe they weren't looked at as
Yeah.
bad at the time.
It's like, oh, I wish these graphics, I wish these controls were like.
the game that doesn't exist. Resident Evil 4.
Wish they were like GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I get what you're getting at. But at the time, I think Resident Evil,
It was looked at as okay.
it was looked at as okay, and story was interesting. Story was definitely the more positive of it. But the horror, I think, at the time, was the more appealing thing. I think as you got through the series, the gameplay actually definitely evolved to the point where they're like, no, this is not acceptable. We need, even in the remakes, they added like the defensive items that you could trigger. And then you look at Resident Evil 4, the way the game progressed, it evolved drastically from the moody camera angles, the not being able to aim at a face, like you're either like shooting at the ceiling, shooting at their chest, or shooting at their toes.
Yeah.
Always aim for the toes.
Yeah, and then you had to like wait for them to get close enough as you're aiming up to hit their head. You're like, I'm gonna get you.
Greatest. I'm like, no wonder why everyone in that world gets wrecked when you got controls like that, man.
Yeah. No,
I can't.
Resident Evil, I will say, had a more positive story than their gameplay when it first came out. But I don't think it was enough driving force at the time, because the gameplay wasn't, for its time, wasn't complete shit.
The genre wasn't even refined.
Yeah, it was a new genre and everything. The games like Ocarina of Time, I'm just going to name off a couple games and try and see if I can help you guys think of one that you, the driving force was the story. So
I will say this isn't true, because I like GTA. GTA games, I typically teeter from the story to gameplay constantly, because I'm like, oh, you're kind of just shooting people, and there's parts of the game that you just hate. I hate it. But you teeter from oh, the gameplay's okay, and then I'll be like, oh, the story, I gotta keep playing for that story constantly. So that's kind of mine, but I've never been like, I fucking hate the gameplay, but this story's been great.
Maybe we could say...
I'll think a little bit more on that as well.
Maybe we could say The Last Guardian, in a way, even though it's kind of intentional.
Yeah.
But that game will frustrate the shit out of you. But you do want to see at the end, you do want to see where the relationship goes between you and Trico, and you want to see like what his story is, and so you push through it. Shadow of the Colossus, I guess for some people it would be considered that. I don't think the controls are really that bad. The camera probably is, but I don't think the controls are that bad. I think it has a nice sense of gravity and weight, but some people probably don't like the gameplay. But they'd want to see what happens at the end. I'm trying to think of other games that had a really good story that drove me to the end. There aren't that many that and this is
well. Let's do this then.
I don't think games tell good stories in general.
Well, okay, so that's what I was going to get at now. Is name a couple games that the story stood out to you. It's Chrono Trigger.
Well, no, I would say Chrono Cross more than Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger's got a good game story. I think there's a difference. Like a game story makes you excited to see the next scene and drives you through to the end. Whereas a good story has like lots of elements in it, like theme and metaphors and all these great things where you're like, wow, that's a really interesting story that's like thematically, I can apply that outside and talk about it. Whereas there's not really a lot to talk about Chrono Trigger, except like, oh, that boss was cool, or like, you know, and it's a good story, but not a good, like it's a good game story versus a good real story. Whereas Chrono Cross actually dealt with some deeper things, choices that you make affect things. Good story. Last of Us had a good story.
Star Wars: The Old Republic.
I think Knights of the Old Republic had a good game story. I don't think it had a great it had the twist and everything, but I don't think there's really. I don't think you could translate that to like a book and tell it, and it would have the same like impact. Because really, the driving force is like you do all the things in that game.
Right. So I guess we'll need for you. We need to merge game story and story.
Because mine
if we right now for the sake of this topic, merge game story and good game story and good story. Just in your mind, merge those two together for the time being. And when we delve more into story, we can then divide it out.
Yeah, I can do one. Dragon Age Origins.
Dragon Age Origins?
Origins has a great story. Stood out to me completely. It seems just like it came out of a book. All you have to do is just replace the main character with your character with hero number one, the protagonist.
Gotcha.
And
John swings a sword.
Yeah, Johnny swings a sword, man. But
I got one that actually fits the last thing, kind of. Earthbound. The gameplay on that is rough.
gameplay?
I mean, it's not bad, but if you play it now, especially with what the other combat systems that were on the Super Nintendo, it's like Dragon Quest 1.
That's not fair.
And its item system is pretty bad.
I mean,
so you can only hold like 15 or 16 items or something at a time per character. And otherwise, you got to send them back and forth through like snail mail, Escargot Express. But the story was so powerful that it drove me for sure.
That's a good one, because I can completely relate to that. Like that, specifically older RPGs. There's tons of times where Final Fantasy VII was one that everyone's like, "Oh my god, this story is so amazing! You have to play it." I'm like, but I'm not in the mood or in like the right mind to sit and grind. And then they introduced the PS4 version where you could ×4 speed it. I was like, oh, okay, that saves me a lot of time.
Yeah.
But the story in that wasn't impactful enough to make me want to play the game. I actually had more fun with the gameplay than I did the story in Final Fantasy VII. And it may be because I didn't play it at the same time. But sorry, Cloud, and Final Fantasy VII was not.
I think people generally look back at that one as not being the strongest in terms of story. In terms of anything, actually.
Which one?
7? Like, it's still good. It's on the better end of the Final Fantasies, but it's the one that made the biggest impact.
Yeah, I think it's because it was the first one to cross into graphically that next level. Yeah. And then it had cool characters. Like, the characters looked cool, I should say. Right. The actual depth of who they were. Like, Sephiroth was like one of the coolest. Yeah. Like, PlayStation 1 generation graphics was like one of the coolest badass looking villains out there. Like, even I'd never played the game and I was like, fuck, this looks cool. Who is that guy?
Yeah.
And for a while I thought he was a good guy. I thought he was someone on your team. Spoilers. And the cloud looked cool. And then Final Fantasy VIII came out, and I saw what's his name? 8? Zach? No. Final Fantasy VIII's main character. Squall. I saw him, and I'm like, that guy looks fucking cool. I want to be him.
You thought that?
What?
You thought that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was wearing a leather jacket, and he was blacked out, white t-shirt, cool little hair.
I played that game for like 10 minutes, and I was like, hell no. And I backed out of that.
As soon as the gather system, as soon as I realized that, I backed out.
Yeah.
That was way too much grind for me.
Yeah, this is way too much just arbitrary shenanigans in that game.
But I loved the student thing and how you had a job kind of thing where you actually got money from it. But as far as story, we're getting a little off topic here. Story-wise, there's plenty of games that there's more so than not. A story doesn't drive me enough to complete the game. I'm not completely interested because as far as like stories that I can remember right now that I experienced that I loved, Legends of Dragoon, Call of Duty 4, Last of Us, number 1 on there, Journey, and God, Beyond the Beyond. Even though nowadays you would call it cliche, but as a kid, it was the first time I ever experienced that. It was the first time I was ever told that story before, and that theme and the tropes and all that stuff of RPGs. Beyond the Beyond hit home for a lot of the different characters and stuff. Shining Force 2 is another one that stood out for me for story-wise. Didn't fully understand it as a kid, but I got the general idea.
Yeah.
And then I want to replay it now because I do want to dig into the story and figure out if I can find out more about it that I didn't know. Twisted Metal 2, some of the endings, like the story of them, of their character progressing.
Or Twilight Zone-y.
Yeah. Seeing that for some of the characters, it made me realize that people have some twisted minds.
Yeah.
Those were some of the main staple games for me for story growing up. For games that I've played. Do you guys have a handful you could list off?
Thanks, what was you just brought me with that Twisted Darkness? What was that Alice in Wonderland darker game?
Oh, Clive Barker.
Yes, I forgot the name of it.
I think it's called Alice.
Maybe, but I know they did like a sequel to that game too. But I played Alice, and that was one of the games where like the gameplay is not great, but I love this like darker twist to the story. But let's see, for games from like Dragon Age Origins for story, like I said, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, or Black Ops, no, not Black Ops 2. One of my favorite stories, and now that I know about it, Dark Souls has a pretty interesting story once you actually do some theory crafting and like community.
This one?
Yes, Madness Returns. Thank you.
Okay.
What about you, buddy?
Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah, of course.
Good plot. Like I said, I separate good story and good like game story, but good game story for sure. But
you don't
it's
like
good.
While I Live, I Love?
No, I love it. I love it. It's all fun. A lot of it doesn't really mean anything.
What?
There's an ongoing idea of I mean, each one has kind of its own thing, but like like a dedication to your country, and then there's
the theme.
Yeah, there's themes of that, and themes of love on the battlefield.
Yeah, man.
Which he shouts many times.
Yeah.
But in general, those are fun. Those are fun stories. Yeah, the RPGs. Chrono Cross is a powerful one.
Is it?
Yeah. Although it butchers itself later. The Last of Us is great. I don't know. I think storytelling in games is not as strong. Like there's a lot of good, like KOTOR is fun. Like we kind of went over those. So.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's better stories in other genres.
Right. Right. Cool, man.
Ooh, BioShock was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one as well. But cool, man. I think that wraps it up for this podcast. I'm Rosie.
Spencer.
And I'm Eric.
Thanks for watching.
And tomorrow for Sunday Funday,
Oh, that's right.
we have Spencer will be playing Rayman or Mario plus Rayman.
Rabbids.
Rabbids. Sorry.
It'd be cool if Rayman appeared.
Yeah,
in
it
this.
was, yeah.
I actually
will.
thought they were the same thing.
Maybe he will.
Who knows? No
He will
spoilers.
fit in,
You have to tune in to see it.
And then also, I'll probably be doing either a Destiny 2 stream either later tonight or tomorrow morning, along with Pierre Solar and the voice acting extravaganza. I'm gonna try and see how far I can get with no encounters besides bosses at this point because I've ground up so many levels.
Dang. All right.
Rosie, you got anything we're looking for?
I'll have to try to fix my PS2 or PS4 so I can actually stream Destiny 2 on the YouTube channel. Otherwise, I have nothing going on because I'll
Okay.
be playing Destiny 2, but won't be able to stream. So maybe look for it.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Send us, actually, give us some ideas for some topics for next week when JD gets back. I think he'll be here next week.
Rest in peace, JD.
I'm casting my resurrection spell, level 4 right now, to see if it'll actually bring him back. But I might need to perform a full ritual to bring him back. I don't know.
Possible.
We had to get a whole bunch of dope caps.
Stick of Truth. We got to figure out when we're doing that one. Next weekend we'll probably finish up Devil May Cry for the Why We Love series, and we'll probably start Stick of Truth right after that. Right?
I think
Yes,
so.
I think that's the game plan.
Yep. Do any of you have it on PC or is it console?
I have it on PC.
Okay. On Steam?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just log into Steam there and play that way.
Sweet.
Cool.
All right, I think it's off. Rosie, I think you're a real piece of shit. You know that? I think you're a fucking piece. I see the way you look at me right now.
Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell
Hey, take it easy.
for any notifications for any future
Come on,
streams.
buddy. Well, I'm sorry, man.
I'm sick of your shit.
Hey, listen, man. I'm just, trying to do my best. Don't hit me.